In 1964, a man strapped a jet engine to a three-wheeled frame and aimed it straight at the horizon, moving at 500 miles per hour with no brakes and second chances. Craig Breedlove's mission was to be the fastest human to ever touch the Earth. What happens next would either etch his name in history or end his life. So, would he make it? Before he became an exceptional racer, Craig Breedlove was just a kid from Los Angeles with a speedometer in his soul. He was born on March 23, 1937, and was destined for speed from the moment he could walk. As a child, he was captivated by cars, planes, and rockets, and started racing in his teens. And not just that, Breedlove was a self-taught engineer with a fierce determination to understand how things worked. He wasn't just interested in speed, he wanted to know how to build something that could defy it. After getting his start in drag racing, Breedlove honed his skills as an aerospace technician. This gave him both an intuitive grasp of speed and a deep technical knowledge of engines. That's a combination that would lead him to build something no one had ever seen before. But he wasn't just a daredevil. Breedlove was a man of vision, with a mind that blended mechanics with a thirst for the impossible. He didn't just dream of going fast, he wanted to make history while doing it. As Craig would later put it, "For me, speed was a drug. I couldn't get enough." So, Breedlove's dream of pushing the boundaries of speed became a reality in 1962 when he unveiled the Spirit of America. Powered by a General Electric J47 jet engine, the same engine used in the F-86 Sabre jet, Breedlove's vehicle was a terrifying sight. At 27 feet long, it was a narrow, three-wheeled machine with no traditional brakes. To stop, Breedlove relied on parachutes and air brakes, making the car more of a missile than a vehicle. To be honest, the Spirit of America wasn't just unconventional, it was ahead of its time. Initially disqualified by the FIA for its three-wheeled design, Breedlove later found an ally in the FIM, the motorcycle governing body, which recognized his creation as a legal one. It was rightly nicknamed the Needle on Wheels, as the car looked like nothing else on the road. Its top speed was projected to exceed 500 miles per hour, with no reverse gear and almost no steering ability. It was dangerous, like a guided land missile, and that's exactly what Breedlove wanted. The Spirit of America was truly a symbol of Breedlove's relentless pursuit of the impossible. But was he able to control his uncontrollable creation? A year later, in 1963, Craig Breedlove's Spirit of America hit the Bonneville Salt Flats for the first time. And in doing so, he made history. On a dry stretch of salt, he became the first person to break 400 miles per hour, reaching an unofficial speed of 407.45 miles per hour. It was a groundbreaking moment, but Breedlove wasn't done yet, as his pursuit of speed had only just begun here. And he had his sights set on something much higher, like 500 miles per hour. In 1964, Breedlove made it official. He returned to the Salt Flats and hit 526.28 miles per hour, a record that would stand for years to come. His jet-powered car had not only broken the 400-mile-per-hour barrier, but shattered the 500-mile-per-hour mark as well, with the roar of a jet engine and a car barely holding together at those insane speeds. Breedlove proved that limits were made to be broken. But it wasn't just about breaking numbers. This was about the thrill of the chase. Breedlove's success wasn't just measured in speed, it showed the audacity of his vision. By 1965, he wasn't just the fastest man on land, he was on the verge of rewriting history again. That year, he unveiled a new version of the Spirit of America, the Sonic 1. It was faster, stronger, and even more daring than the first. But his story wasn't always this smooth. In the aftermath of his incredible 1964 run, something unpredictable happened. The parachutes failed to deploy properly, and Breedlove's car overshot the salt flats and crashed into a brine lake. Miraculously, Breedlove survived, walking away from what could have been a fatal crash, but the Spirit of America was destroyed. However, Breedlove's determination remained unbroken, and on October 15, 1965, Breedlove drove the Sonic 1 to an astonishing 600.601 miles per hour, becoming the first person in history to break the 600 mile per hour barrier. With this achievement, Breedlove cemented his place in history as one of the greatest pioneers in the world of speed. Now, before we continue, if this Breedlove story makes you want to strap a jet engine to your own car, hit the subscribe button for intriguing stories like this. It's safe and not risky. While Breedlove's achievements were pushing the boundaries of what was possible, they didn't go unnoticed. By the mid-1960s, he was facing strict competition. Art and Walt Arfens, two brothers, built their own jet-powered cars to challenge Breedlove's dominance, and the battle for the fastest car on land quickly became one of the most intense rivalries in racing history. Between 1964 and 1965, Breedlove, Art Arfens, and Walt Arfens traded records back and forth. It wasn't just about the numbers anymore. It was a battle to be the first to conquer the impossible. The era became known as the Jet Car Wars, and it was a war for the very soul of speed itself. Each time one of the Arfens brothers would break Breedlove's record, he would return to the Salt Flats, eager to reclaim his title. In 1964, Art Arfens reached 536 miles per hour with his Green Monster, and the rivalry heated up even more. But Breedlove, never one to back down from a challenge, pushed the spirit of America further. The competition was fierce. After conquering 600 miles per hour and surviving the most dangerous crash of his life, Craig Breedlove stepped away from the land speed battlefield. He focused on engineering work, started a family, and faded from the headlines. But the fire never left him. For decades, the Salt called to him, and by the late 1990s, he answered. Breedlove made a comeback effort with a new machine called the Spirit of America Sonic Aero. Sleeker, it was more advanced and built to hit 800 miles per hour, his boldest attempt yet. At an age when most men were enjoying retirement, Breedlove was preparing to race death again and dreaming to be more than best. But this time, the challenges weren't just physical. Breedlove faced financial and technical hurdles as well. Sponsorship dried up, and mechanical problems plagued the project. And as years passed by, the run that was meant to conquer every remaining record never happened. Craig Breedlove passed away in April 2023 at the age of 86. But his story didn't end there, because legends don't die. He wasn't just a record setter. He was the first man in history to reach 400, 500, and 600 miles per hour on land. He was a self-taught engineer who strapped a jet engine onto a wheeled missile and aimed it straight at history. To some, he was reckless, while to others, a visionary person. But to everyone who ever dreamed of going faster, he was a legend. Breedlove didn't just redefine speed, he redefined what was humanly possible. So, what do you think? Was this the craziest speed story ever? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next ride into the impossible.